れが綺麗どうもそして僕を見て頑張りますね Y'all talking time just tick away You ain't clocking hours on the day All that watch is stopping what you claim Dollar crosses real got me name Hoping God just get me out this game.
Okay, so I have caught up to the mid-season finale of the second season of unOrdinary by Uruchan. This is something I spoke about on the channel at length a couple of times in the past. Obviously, not as frequently as I used to, because I will be honest with you, my interest in it has waned a lot. I'm not as interested in unOrdinary as I once was, but I did take the time to catch up, and I want to speak about my current thoughts on it. And yeah, so if you're new here, like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. And let's kind of talk about, I think the last time on my channel when we spoke about unOrdinary was around the time I feel like John and Sarah had their final fight, and she kind of broke through to him, and he went back home to New Boston or whatever to kind of recoup, and kind of, you know, settle down a bit because he was doing the most as a Joker, as a king, if you will, at school. And I feel like this point here, we've been beating the dead horse with a stick. Like, what I've always felt like with John is we get it, we understand it. I feel like everybody who reads it and is in the story gets it, but she continues to hammer the nail, even though it's already in place, sturdy and holding up what it needs to hold up. I felt like she was overdoing it with John. But now he's finally going through that healing process, which is important to me, because then we can move beyond this whole Wellston inter royals conflict, whatever you want to call it. Because I'm very interested to dive more into Arlo's auntie and Ember and all of those other groups and whatnot, because Arlo is almost, I feel like, by his aunt being prepped and groomed to take on this role because of the way that he respects the authority so much. So there's like a lot of little interesting tidbits here. Sarah is now the one that's actually somewhat lying to John, not manipulating him, but manipulating the information, how he gets it, lying by omission because of how she got her abilities back and her involvement with her sister Layla in the company now. There's a lot here to consider, and a lot here that's giving me some hope moving forward. I will say I'm a little higher on it now, but maybe I just needed to get out of this John as being a dickhead arc so I can just kind of so we can move on to the things that I find more interesting, because I'm sorry to say this, and a lot of unOrdinary fans for some reason take this the wrong way. Don't like John. Not that he's a bad character. I can't stand people like him because there's no accountability. He's just looking outwards. Bully me, power, everybody's against me. Are you not seeing how you're contributing to this? I don't care that you are a victim. You continue to be stupid. I am tired of people who are victims not taking any agency in their own life. Take control of your fucking life. If I am a man, and over the span of 10 years, I date 6 women who are physically abusive. At what point do I look in the mirror and be like, why and how do I keep choosing these type of women? No, it's not my fault that they're abusive and violent and hitting me, but there's clearly something in them or where I'm looking that's causing me to not be able to filter out low quality options. So stop giving John that fucking pass. He's just like everybody else in this goddamn story. That's Arlo, that's Sarah, that's Remy, whatever. They have to live in the hierarchy system of this world. John is not the only victim here. So I'm so tired of you John defenders not getting that part. Rant over. That being said, I am enjoying the healing process. Why? Because it's not instantaneous. The one thing I've always given Uruchan credit for when it comes to a lot of her characters is they don't change overnight. They don't have one conversation and suddenly they're a different person. The change is gradual. They struggle. It ebbs and flows. They somewhat revert back to who they really are, or who they were, or who they're trying not to be. So when John is trying to somewhat suppress his aggression and control it better, like his ability to be strong and be aggressive is useful. He shouldn't get rid of it by pretending to be a cripple, and cripple in the sense of this world, in this world, but like someone who's powerless. But The problem is that he tried to completely get rid of the monster instead of living with it and taming it, because it's useful. It's useful. He can help people. He can defend them. He's very strong. Excuse me. So I do like that, even though he went and he saved his old friend. I don't remember his name. I'm sorry, with the yellow hair. Adrian, I think it was, maybe. Went to go and save him. And he started getting really violent and pissed off, but then Adrian was able to stop him. And it's like, he's like, shit, I lost my cool again. But he's like, but you were able to stop. And this felt like the victories that we used to have when we were teaching you how to use your ability, because it was like you were fighting in the name of, you know, some of us who were weaker and stuff. And then I came a point where obviously he was no longer the weak. He was the strong, exercising that power against anybody else. But you have to always understand this, and I've said this for anybody here who's a Tower of God fan. I've always said this, and I felt like Devi, or Devi, I think his name was Devi. He was the pig that we had seen with Woon Yeon, Little Woon, Shibisu, and Hats when we went to wake up Aguero. He was oppressed, his people, and he was oppressed for so long. And what did he do the moment he had power? He completely tipped the scale. Overcorrection, like my friend Vince likes to say a lot of times, there was an overcorrection. And he went crazy and rapid with power. So John did the same thing. Any oppressed group that suddenly gets the power to actually fight back, and fight back overwhelmingly in their favor, is likely to fall into that pitfall. I'm not mad at John for falling into it. It's just, I'm mad at the people who are excusing the behavior. If you are traumatized and somebody messes with you, that is not your fault. But if you, in turn, take that and basically continue that cycle of abuse, that's on you. Go heal. Go fix yourself. And John is doing that now. I love it. I really like the conversation he had with Claire, because Claire is like, I don't want to have anything to do with you. I don't care if you're changing or a changed person. Leave me alone. We're done. I respect that. We need more people like that in this world. It's like, hey, I've changed, I'm back, and blah, blah. And like, yo, I'm actually genuinely happy for you. Good for you. That's great. But go be that person on that side of the fence. Not in my backyard. So mad respect for Claire for that. But she did see some kind of vision, which is interesting to me. What is that about? I don't know. I do have to say, though, John's personal journey himself has been somewhat not interesting, but like, it's still going to be hard, so I like that. I don't like how easy it was for certain people to kind of just accept that he's back. I think Arlo's a lot smart and pragmatic and in the know in terms of how close he was Sarah, to understand that maybe she could control him to some degree, so it is what it is. And the people in Wellston are genuinely kind of afraid and whatnot. But even when Sarah was just like, you good? Like, that's your friends, and their relationship goes a lot deeper than a lot of people. And like Claire said, there's somebody who cared about you far more than I ever did, and I hope you don't kind of put her through what you did, and which is Seraphina. But still, even for me, we could be mad close, but if I had to do all of that to get you to snap out of some bullshit, you're not getting a Skype call from me where I'm smiling like, hey, how you doing? I'll be like, hey, let's talk. Let's keep it real. But now it's going to be interesting, because I wonder if John will end up feeling betrayed by being left out of everything that she's doing with her sister and stuff, and getting her powers back, and maybe the fight against, you know, the powers that be in here. So, and we spoke about a little bit how the principal in Wellston seems to not be performing to a certain degree. And there was the very big bombshell with William Doe, where I believe that whoever the informant was that gave him information had a picture in a wheelchair of who what I believe to be is John's mom and William's wife, ex-wife, fiance, girlfriend, baby mother, whatever the case. I don't know if they were married. I actually don't remember if they were. So there's actually a lot to look forward to here. I think we're in a good spot now moving forward. I think getting out of this Joker arc, so to speak, was the thing this story needed to finally take its best steps forward. So I'm very excited to see what's going to happen in the future. Shout out to my guy Arlo. I love the growth. I'm interested to see what his auntie has planned for him. And anyone else I need to kind of give a shout out to in this story? Shout out to William. I like William how he deals with John. And he said you only use your power when you're too angry to control it. When you could be using it for good. John has somewhat re-internalized a couple of the things in the book unOrdinary that he can use moving forward in a good and positive manner. And we cannot forget that there's been changes in the school, like Dr. Darren, the greatest character in this fucking webtoon, not being there. That's interesting. Is he with Layla's group? Let's find that out. There's one more thing that I want to say, and I really can't remember off the top of my head, and I was hoping while I was saying that, it will come back to me, but I guess it didn't. So, oh! Yes. William and Sarah, maybe not Sarah necessarily, but with him learning about what happened to John through Keon, and that's one thing I always say. I don't think what Keon did was actually helpful more than it was traumatizing, but they mess with his confidence and his self-worth as a person, as a man, right? And William's like, they didn't fix him, they broke him. I think Keon is going to become a center of focus at some point in a major capacity, so look out for that. That's the last thing I wanted to say. You guys have yourselves a mighty fine day. I'm going to be out. Yeah. unOrdinary is in a good place right now. I'm happy with where we are currently moving forward.
In my drugs, pour it in my cup, sitting in my darkness with my